Hello, welcome back. How you doing? Today I just want to talk a little bit about these guys, which is the Motogadget momentary switch buttons. These are, I think, $16.99 each from Motogadget. Probably the same sort of price on um, other websites. The the best price that I've found on Motogadget products is More Speed Racing, which is where I got the M button from, which was the control unit which I did the previous video on. Obviously not sponsored, but just trying to give you the best place to go and buy this stuff. Now, so these buttons, as you can see, you have a little screw top with two little holes, so you can basically post in your wire, screw down on the tops, and that gives you a connection. These buttons don't care which way they're wired up, because they're just a switched ground or earth, whichever way you want to look at it, but that's how they work. So you can buy these on their own. There is an assortment of hand controls they come in. What I have currently is, so I've got this guy, which was originally like a 2-gang handlebar switch. So these just screw into the face. He says, so it just screws into the face like this. You have your button, and then you have a backer, which is over here, and that goes on like so. Okay, this is great. I believe to buy one of these as a 2-gang, I think it's about £99, I think. But these are not really my style. I don't really like how they look on the bike. I do have some other options that I've used in the past. For example, so these ones are sort of like a bigger size. This is a 3-gang one, but actually it's not, is it? No, it is. But you only have one screw on the back, right? So when this does up, that's right, like this. So when these do up, there's nothing holding the bottom. So not a big fan. Decided that I didn't want to go with the Motogadget blocks. But what I do have, as many of you start screaming at me, are these, which are actually, I believe, off of a Royal Enfield. This one's been modified slightly. This one here is how they are originally. Very kind of chintzy. You see how you have the switch across the top for your indicators. I mean, that just pulls off, and as you can see, it's just a square with a button in there. Hot glued in on the back, and then we have similar buttons to the Motogadget, but they're distinctly more chintzy, and they just have a, if you can see, yeah, you can see in there, there's just like a bolt, a nut, shall I say, sorry, to retain it. So what I've decided to do is I've made a combination of the Motogadget stuff plus this this housing, which in all fairness the only bit I'm going to use is this. So the two problems that I had was this piece up here was originally a square hole, and so what I had to do is drill this ever so carefully drill bit by drill bit, getting bigger and bigger and bigger until I had a hole of 10.5, I believe it was. And then once the hole was 10.5, I could run it through it with a 12 point, so it was an M12, and the thread pitch is a 1.0, I believe, or is it 0.1? I think it's 0.1, which is a fine pitch. So as you can see, where it has a little bit of material through there, I know it's very hard to see. See, I do have a broken thread, if you like. It's not a complete hole, but it's only holding a button. So when we get an O-ring and we plop this in here, you know, it screws in just fine, and that's never going to be, you know, it's never going to be an issue, right? So that was the first problem solved. Second problem is, as you can see with the Royal Enfield switches, you have like this little step that runs around here, as you can see. I don't know whether you can make that out, but there's a step around the button, so these can seat into the hole like so, and then have the nut retaining it on the back. In the case of the Motogadget buttons, we have no said shoulder, and indeed they're quite a bit shorter, so when you put this in here, you know, it's not ideal. Let's actually get a switch, and we've got an O-ring, so there you go. So very loosey goosey, and there's no material at all on the back to get the nut onto. So after a little bit of thought, what I decided to do was make some of these. So this is a Motogadget, and as you can see, there's a little top spacer on there, little top hat spacer, which is nulled on the outside. Not that that really matters, because I actually made these from some riv nuts, but crucially I've tapped them to the M12 thread on the inside. So now what we can do, if I can actually even find one with an O-ring, here we go. So we can get an O-ring, and then we can plop this in. In fact, it's easier if I drop in a little spacer I made from the back first. Okay, so as you can see, we now have a spacer with some thread in it. And now, hopefully, if all goes to plan, we should be able to, he says, come on. Why do things never quite go to plan when you're trying to demonstrate something on a camera? I think that one might have a little bit of a burr on it still. I've been making these this morning, so let's just try this other one. This one might be better. So, you know, obviously you could just go and buy the relevant buttons. They have all sorts on Motogadget. They even have ones that you can power and that light up, you know, very different to this. But in my application, keeping it cheap, using what I've already got, this is what I've decided to go with. So now you can see that the button is now held captive inside of the inside of the switch block. So, and personally, I think by the time that this is, pay no mind to the sort of the start symbol, the symbols that are on here, because none of that's going to matter, because this is all going to be sandblasted and refinished. But as you can see now, I've now got the ability to fit fit the buttons that I want to use in the switch block I want to use. I'm going to have to be very careful. Everything inside of here is all going to have to be insulated. But essentially now I'm going to achieve what I want to achieve with nothing, essentially, or at least stuff that was already in my garage. So really just a quick little video to update anybody that's watching on what I'm currently doing. May also add, these buttons are what they refer to as waterproof or splash proof. In other words, they can't go underwater, but you know, you can get them $16.99 each from Motogadget. I think that on the next video we're gonna have these switch blocks on the handlebars and everything wired up. I'll show you how I wire the handlebars up, and hopefully have them all working on like a bench test like I've done before, just to demonstrate how I've done mine. Thanks for watching.